Hi everyone, you're watching the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. It's coming to you live on a Thursday night, 9 o'clock South African time, and I stress South African time because we've got our first overseas guest in the studio. At the moment, he looks very much like a white cupboard in the corner there, but he'll be joining us now. He's gone to make himself a cup of tea. But anyway, the Handicap, we're going to be talking about all 7 Super Rugby games. We're going to be looking at them from a betting angle. So if you haven't subscribed to our show yet, make sure you go down below the video, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell so you don't miss any of our videos. As I said, 7 games to get through. We got 2 on Friday and 5 on Saturday. And yeah, we welcome an out-of-town guest for the first time. I'm going to leave him to last as far as the intros go. And let me start off down there in Cape Town for Henrik Swart. Henrik, good to have you back on the show. And well done last week. You were incredibly bullish on the Sharks. You even called them on the outright win at about 22-10, if I recall. And they arrived quite nicely in the end.
Hi, Brent. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, the Sharks, they played well. The forwards dominated nicely against the Waratahs, and the Waratahs looked a bit rudderless without Israel Folau. And yeah, I'm sure the red card probably helped a bit as well. But yeah, I still think the Sharks would have won the game regardless. But yeah, it was a nice weekend. The previous weekend, last week, I said on the show I went 0 from 6. I see last week I went 4 from 6, so it's a bit of a improvement on the previous weekend. Hopefully this week we can get a full house.
I know you needed the Brumbies in Super Brew in that last game there. Yeah. The one that let me down last week was the Bulls. Marnie Labok, you won't be getting any Christmas cards from me after failing to put that pass away that would have seen them pull close up with just a few minutes to go. Let's go to the Western Cape Town. Eastern Cape Town, I'm going to get it wrong again.
Western.
Down in Naza, seen Bo. If he's watching, he's going to give me a hard time. And on that note, welcome to all the boys on the Rav chat. Good to see Ruan Fari, Peter Paul, Emil there. And yeah, well, hopefully we can find you boys a few winners. So, Hein, how did you go last weekend?
Brent, you had it right with the Western Cape there. No, it wasn't my best week, but I wasn't bullish on a lot. I was bullish. My strongest punt was on the Jaguares, and they sneaked it with a point, but we got in there. So luckily that saved face a little bit, but it wasn't a seriously profitable week, but we'll try and change things around this week.
Excellent. Well, let's go over to New Zealand now. I think he's in Hamilton. He could possibly be in Auckland. One thing I do know is he's not used to getting up at this time. He was quite alarmed when he heard what time the show went out. And it's Paul, the guy behind Driving Mall. You can see his cap there at Driving Mall. Paul, good to have you on the show.
Oh, good morning. And yes, good to have you on the show. And it is an ungodly hour, I must admit. That this time.
What is the time? Isn't it 7 o'clock in the morning?
It's 7 o'clock in the morning, yes.
And that's an ungodly hour for you, my word.
I don't surface before at least 9 o'clock. So hey, yeah, that's my.
Well, in fairness to you, I've seen you do some late stints where you've stayed up all night watching things like European football and that to do your review shows. So you do deserve a little bit of a lie in there. And let's face it, most of the rugby only happens later in the day. But good to have you on, Paul. And I think just by way of intro, everybody knows you as at Driving Mall. They also know you as a guy who loves his rugby, passionate about his rugby, but not necessarily a punter. You're not someone who you play your Super Brew, but you're not necessarily a bettor. Except for this year, you decided to put a bit of your money where your mouth is there and back some of your fancies against the bookmakers.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone challenged me and said, "Oh, so how good are your picks?" And I thought, well, okay, I better actually put my money where my mouth is and prove how good or how bad my picks are. So I've been putting $2 on every single game so far this season. And yeah, we'll obviously have a chat about how that's going as we go along.
Yeah, that's it. It's certainly, if you are making money, I'm quite impressed because it's been a tough old Super Rugby. And just Emil Korf, one of the guys on a regular winner on some of our shows and live chats, say he enjoys your Pro 14 and Premiership previews as well. It is one of the things that always amazes me about you. You do previews on all the rugby leagues in the world. So you certainly do need your rest when you can get it. But guys, let's get straight into the action. Let's go to the Crusaders up against the Sharks. And Henrik, I'm going to start with you. There's been quite a bit of betting action on this. We had 23.5 points at one stage. I know you were one of the punters on the Good for the Game forum who came into that. I think the handicap is stabilized. I'll just check the Sunbet side out now, but I think it's stabilized around 20.5. Yeah, minus 20.5, which means to non-punters, if you're backing the Crusaders on the handicap, you need them to win by 21 points or more. And if you're backing the Sharks, you need them to come within 20 points or potentially even win the game. And Henrik, Gary Lenton on the previous show was quite quite keen on the Sharks quite keen on the Crusaders, and that made you doubt your Sharks bet a bit.
Yeah, he sounded very confident on the Crusaders. I think he said it's absolute certainty. I like the Sharks here, Brent. I think I don't like Mitch Hunt at 10 for the Crusaders. The Crusaders team still looks very strong. They've got such incredible depth. But yeah, I just don't like Mitch Hunt at 10. I don't think the attack will be the same with him. And yeah, he was the 10 when they lost against the Waratahs, incidentally. And the Sharks, the forwards impressed me last week, so I think they will stand up to the Crusaders forwards. The backs, the Crusaders are very strong in the backs, but 20-point handicap is very high. I got some 23.5 Sharks plus 23.5, and I took some more plus 22.5 after the Crusaders team came out. I think the Crusaders won't win by more than 2 converted tries. I think the Sharks will keep them close here, and I think this could be a nice unders game as well. I think the Sharks defense has been impressive last week. So, and we've got a nice unders ref in Brendan Pickerel. So I think I'll look at an unders play. I saw the total points 54.5. I'm happy to go unders on total points 54.5. And I'll have a look at going unders on Crusaders points as well.
This is one of those fixtures that always brings back memories for me, because at one stage a few years ago there was a show called Betting World on the Teletrack channel, and I was a guest, and it was one of the first shows I was ever on. And the Crusaders were about minus 13.5 points. And I stared into the camera and I said, bring the camera on me now. Let me tell you, the Sharks will not lose by more than 14 points. And needless to say, they got beaten by about 30. But what really was a problem was the show was actually recorded and only went out after the game. So it was terrible, because I was making a call on a game that had already actually... So really, it was one of those ones that I took a lot of abuse in the forums and that. But Han, we'll come to you in a second. Let's go over to New Zealand and find out what Paul thinks of this game. Paul, the bookmakers reckon Crusaders 20-point favourites, and it's pretty hard to argue.
It is. I've gone Crusaders by 20. My predictions, I got them at $1.05, which means obviously, yeah, they're heavy favourites. Yeah, I hear what he's saying about the selections. Yeah, the Crusaders have used this to rest a whole bunch of players, which is going to play into their hands. It was actually Brent Graham, I think, who started against the Waratahs, not Mitch Hunt. So, yeah, at least he's starting on the bench. For me, this big thing is that if the Sharks kick the ball away, then the Crusaders are going to absolutely eat them, because the Crusaders are the best, or one of the 2 best returners from kicks to score tries, along with the Hurricanes. So the Sharks just have to keep the ball in hand, and they have to put that defensive. But that defensive performance last week was out of character. That defense has had some big holes in it, and the Crusaders will ask a lot more questions.
Right, so you've come in pretty close to where the bookies have come there. If forced to pick a side, do you think it's more likely the Crusaders will go over 20, or the Sharks will keep them within that?
The Crusaders have won all of their last 4 games by more than 20 points.
That's it. I think their home games, I think their lowest victory has been something like 22 points this season. So you'd be suggesting the value could be with the Crusaders. Well, let's go then and see if we've got someone to split the pair here. And Couch Critic, what do you make of it?
Yeah, Brent, I can't have the Sharks in this one. I know we've said the Crusaders aren't at full strength, but they never really are. But we've said that they've got enough quality around the park in their squad to be like a full strength team and still be a yard better than everyone else. So I think it's always dangerous backing against them, whether they're going to start fast or whether they're going to finish strong. You know, I think that 20 might always be in the swing with a couple of scores there, especially at the end. So I'd be a bit worried. I'm not going to be bullish either way. I'm not getting involved in the handicap. If I was forced, I'd go for the Crusaders. I still think that back line there, they've got Goodyear at 12 now, but Braden Eno has been superb. Sibu Rees has come onto the scene like a cracker. There's just no stopping him. He's a machine. George Bridge scores for fun, and then Will Jordan, I've been incredibly impressed. So that outside backs, I mean, they can really rip the Sharks to shreds if they're not up to it on the day. So I'm rather going to some try score markets there that I've got going for that one.
Right. Well, you got anything for us there at this stage? From the try scorer point of view?
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going to go for Will Jordan to score 2 or more tries. I've got a special of Bet Olymp at 11-2 for him to score 2 or more tries. And then obviously I'm going to have a little interest there with Akker on the bench. I think he could bull in a China shop coming up at the end there. I've got him at 33-1. They've got me there. So I think that's a nice price. Last try scorer, Akker van der Merwe.
Excellent. Well, let's move on to the next game. I'm not going to give you a view on this one because I really am
Actually,
undecided. I was leaning towards the Sharks.
If you like,
oh, sorry, Paul.
If you like it outrage, check out for Sefer Reese because he loves his shoulder charge tackles. So maybe he's not been yellow carded yet, but I think Sefer Reese is good for a yellow card sooner or later. And your Twitter outrage will be around one of Sefer Reese's tackles. Is my kind of strange bet for this game.
Right, to get and if you're a spread punter, you could get high on the yellow cards. Let me ask the one guy who probably knows who the ref is, Henrik.
Brendan Pickerel. He's a very, I call him a pedantic ref. He's very, he blows the game very dead. So that's why I like the unders as well. Yeah.
Right, Dino Zambetti saying Crusader second half handicap at -10.5. He fancies him to pull clear. But certainly a game where it looks as though the bookmakers have set the handicap fairly well. Let's go on then to the next game. It's the Reds up against the Sunwolves. And Paul, I'm going to start with you this time. The bookmakers have set the line here at 9.5 points, the Reds' favourite. What do you think? What have you got on Super Brew?
I've got Reds by 5, and I've got Reds by at $1.33. Is what I put my bet on for. So it all comes down to is can Karevi keep carrying this team basically, or is he going to be knackered from that trip to South Africa? And I can't see this the Sunwolves doing as badly as last week. I think they will Reds will be a bit complacent, and the Sunwolves keeps one close.
Sunwolves to keep it tight. Just laughing at one of the comments in the live chat. Brendan Vessel saying Paul's technical analysis is slightly different from Lode Granny's pension fund on from Oracle. And just to explain that comment to Paul, we got a guest who comes on the show sometimes, Oracle Rugby. The guy goes, he gets very excited about bets and threatens to put his granny's pension fund on. So he tends to either do really well or really badly. He's certainly not conservative in his approach. So yes, Oracle. Sean Nicholas saying he's voting Oracle in the elections on the 8th of May. Couch, let's go to you then on this game. 9.5 points. I'm going to tell you straight out, I'm a bit undecided here, although I'm leaning towards the Reds to probably win by 10 or more.
Well, week in and week out, Brent, I've said that people are underestimating the Sunwolves and you can make some good money on the plus on them. And then a long game last week and everyone was saying finally the bubble will burst, and it burst in style. The Highlanders really put them away there big time. So it's extremely tough thinking how things going to turn out this week. Which Sunwolf teams is going to pitch up. They've made it up their backsides, but it's a tough one. The Reds
I'm going
also been a little bit up and down. But
I'm going to stop you there because your line is a bit bad. I'm going to ask if you could maybe just exit and come back in. We seem to be losing you a little bit there. So I'll go across to Henrik now. Henrik, is this a game you're getting involved in?
Yes, Brent, this game looks very tough, extremely tough. Anything can happen. Yeah, I can see the Sunwolves winning the game. I can see the Reds winning by a lot. I'm really not sure. It all depends on which Sunwolf team pitch. They went a bit AWOL against the Islanders last week. I was confident on them, and they got the Islanders played them off the park, kept them to 0. It was a bit of a shocker by Sunwolves at home. I think that we should see a bit of a backlash from the Sunwolves, but the Reds, they've been good. So I've slight preference for the Sunwolves on the plus, but it's very slight and just for an interest. I'm not confident at all in this game.
Yeah, I must say this game has a good punting mate of mine, Brendan O'Connell, always says this looks like the old trap from the bookmakers waiting to grab you. It really does look like a tough game. I must say I was on the Reds when they played them in Tokyo, I think it was, and they were well down and actually came back to win 34-31. I quite like this Reds team. I fancy that they're going to put the Sunwolves away by 10 or more, but certainly not one of my bigger bets for the weekend. While we're waiting, on that
good point there, what you might find is actually live betting might be the way to go with this one. The Sunwolves' second half is pretty poor. Reds to win the second half, or if the Reds are down by like 5 points at half time, there might be some value there.
Yeah, that's it. That's the way to do it. And it's good that you mentioned that because a lot of our punters do enjoy their live betting. And Henrik, I think it's fair to say that, live betting, some of us make more money out of it than we do with the anti-post.
Yeah, Brent, it's tough sometimes making the calls pre-game like we do in this show, you look like a bit of a fool, even though you make money on the weekend, because you can get a bit of a read on the game and get money in running. You can see, well, my bet's dead on this game, so make a bit of a bet to get out of it, and it comes through. And last week we spoke about the games of 2 halves, and that happened a few times this weekend as well. Lots of points in the first half, and then you go unders at half time on total points, and that comes through. So we've seen lots of games of 2 halves.
Right, Pierre Killian saying that he reckons the Reds will destroy the Sunwolves in the second half. And let's see if his Wi-Fi signal's a little bit better than it was last time. Catch, share your final thoughts on that game for us.
Brent, I just said I think the Sunwolves will put up a little bit of a fight this week, but I think they'll probably come up short. Paul said he wondered whether Kerevi will be able to deliver and carry the team, and I've actually stuck my pin the tail on the donkey there. Let's say that I think Kerevi is going to score a try there. I've got him as my special bet. I think I got 15-10 with Bet Olymp. Kerevi anytime try scorer, and I think the Reds will take a pretty narrow victory, like 1-12 is the bet I've got on there. I'm not exactly sure the price. I got Reds 1-12 at 18-10, so that's my play there.
Right, and a lot of the boys on the forum seem to be agreeing with Paul here as well, and thinking the Reds will win it, but not by that, not by too many points. Mike, who's joined the show a little bit late, says Reds to take it by 3. But Katch, while we got you, good signal there, I'm going to just stay with you for the next game. That's Saturday morning South African time at 7:15 kickoff. That means us total points punters will be taking note, because it means we're going to not have too much dew in that around, although, of course, there could be rain. And here we got the Hurricanes against the Rebels, Couch. Current handicap sitting at 12.5 points. Rebels started the season very, very impressively. They have hit a bit of a wobble. And the Hurricanes have been winning games quite often where they haven't looked that good, but last week they were dominant against the Chiefs.
Yes, definitely. That was a top performance, and as you said, the Rebels, it's a question of, have they the speed wobble or have they completely derailed? You know, in the past they've often been in the running and then they seem to lose their way in the second half of the tournament. So one has to wonder whether Dave Wessels has been able to rectify that, or whether we're going to see more of that this weekend. And that's why I think the handicap again it's another tough one there. We can't really be sure that the Hurricanes are going to do it. But again, at home, I don't like betting against the New Zealand teams, because you could be well in it and then a try at the end. And then in terms of team news, it's just DJ Paranara that's out there. But I mean, they've still got both Barretts and Adi Sevilla's playing. So that's all good news for them. The Rebels, a decent side, except Billy Meeks has been moved to the bench, and they've got Haylett Petty back at fullback. But I mean, to me, he's not that great shakes, and I'm not sure about Arch being a better centre than Meeks. So yeah, I think the Hurricanes should win it, but I'm not exactly sure. I've actually gone for something a little bit alternative there. I've picked up a market, half-time, full-time winning markets. I've got Hurricanes to lead at the break at half-time 1-8, and then Hurricanes to win at the end by more than 13. And I've got that at 15-2. So to me, that means it's a kind of close first half, and then Hurricanes to pull away.
Right, I was just having a look at the Good for the Game forum. I'll, of course, do a handicap projection. I see Paul shaking his head there, and we'll go straight to him now. I do the handicap projection show on a Sunday, and I thought this would be minus 14.5. So I still find some value there in the Hurricanes. But, Paul, you're nodding your head. Is that because you burnt yourself sipping your cup of tea, or you disagree with something Couch said there?
Okay. All right. The Canes will win, but I mean, listen to this then. So the Canes beat the Tars by 1, the Highlanders by 3, the Stormers by 6, the Highlanders by 3 again, the Sunwolves by 6. They've only twice won by double points. So to expect this one to blow out just because last week did, I think is so they beat the Brumbies by 30 and they beat the Chiefs by 28. So I think there's a good chance that this stays close, because most of their wins have stayed close. They've only twice had blowouts.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. I mean, they haven't really been hitting their straps. Although I tend to be with Couch on this one, in the sense that I handicapped this game at 14.5, and I do think that the Hurricanes are actually picking up momentum as the season goes on. So interesting to hear what Henrik thinks about this cap.
Brent, I'm with Paul a bit here. The Hurricanes, they looked really impressive against the Chiefs last week, but I don't really rate the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been poor this year. And the Rebels, they've been disappointing the last few games, but I still rate Dave Wessels very highly, and they're coming off a bye, so I think they should be up for this game. And I'm expecting a good game from the Rebels, and like Paul said, the Hurricanes hasn't put a lot of teams away. So I've taken some Rebels plus 12.5. But yeah, like you said earlier, this is an afternoon game, so this is a game. And I've checked the weather. There's no rain in Wellington on Saturday. Just a slight breeze, but yeah, I think we can get some points here. And I think both teams, with Quade Cooper attacking flat, I think we can get points from both teams here.
Excellent. I enjoyed Sean Nicholas's comment in the live chat. Slap some cane in that tea, Paul. It's going to be a blowout. He reckons the Hurricanes are going to absolutely hammer them. And I guess this is one of the things, and Paul, just to come to you quickly, your first venture into betting this year with your outright bets, but the beauty of the rugby handicap is that the handicap is essentially there, and if the handicap's well set, you should ask 100 people and 50 of them will give you one side and 50 of them will give you the other. Of course, the trick for us is to try and find out where the handicap's not well set, that we can make money more often than we lose. But it's actually interesting to see, like on this game, for example, that I'm looking at the live chat, the guys are absolutely split down the middle as to whether this will be a blowout or, in fact, a 5 or 6 pointer.
Yeah, and I've gone Canes by 10 on the old Super Brew, but I think the only safe bet here is the Canes will win. Right? They've only lost to the Crusaders so far this year, and so but it could be 3 points or it could be 30 points. It's unlikely to be 15. It's going to be big or small, I think, is basically the message. I got them at $1.21, so I'm quite happy with that. With that kind of money, when you think that I got the Crusaders at $1.05. So yeah, I think that's the safe bet basically.
Interesting. I'm on the Sunbet website at the moment, and they are exactly, obviously we talk in rand, but if you were placing the bet with them, you'd be getting exactly $1.21 on that as well, which if we talk in fixed odd terms, would be around about the 1 to 5 mark. Gents, just remind me, who haven't I asked about this game yet? I think it's you, Couch.
No, Brent, you did ask me. Yes. I just want to go back to that one. Just, we're saying we're not sure that it's going to be a blowout. I mean, that's why I'm not confident on the handicap. But I mean, taking a bet that's going to give me 15-2, so it's very speculative. So I mean, I just think that I'm getting decent value. I don't have to put a lot down and to get 7.5 back there. As I said, I think it's going to be close. I mean, you don't expect the Hurricanes to lead by more than 8 points at the break, and hopefully they will be ahead. And then at least you're in the game for them to pull away if they do, or you can take some cover if you want. Even go for the Rebels to win if you feel like that's the way the game's going. But I still think the Hurricanes should be stronger at home in the second half.
Yeah, I like that second half bet a little bit as well. For the record, guys, I like the Hurricanes here on the handicap, but also not very, very, very firm. I do fancy them at the minus 12.5 point levels. Let's move on to the Highlanders up against the Chiefs. The Chiefs have had a very disappointing season. I think few would have expected them to be the wooden spooners of the New Zealand sides at the start of the year. And Hendrik, I'm going to start with you here. We've got the Highlanders at home coming off a 52-0 victory over the Sunwolves away, and they're starting 10.5 points against the Chiefs, who were well beaten last week in Wellington.
Yeah, the Chiefs, they mid-season they started to look a bit better, but now they've gone way backwards again. They were really poor against the Hurricanes. I'm not a big Jordie Barrett fan, but they made him look world class last week. They didn't even lay a finger on him scoring those 2 tries. I've gone against the Chiefs here again. I've taken Islanders minus 10.5. I don't rate Colin Cooper as a coach, and so yeah, I'll try and continue opposing the Chiefs. So Islanders on the minus here.
Right, let's go to Paul and see what he thinks on this game. What did you go on Super Brew, Paul?
I mean, this is Highlanders all day, isn't it? Let's be honest. If you're in Hamilton, by the way, do come down to the Zone Sports Bar. We've got a bit of a show going on around this one, so we'll be up on stage talking about it. But I've gone Highlanders by 7, and I'm probably be conservative on that side. I think if you think about it, look, the Chiefs are missing Sam Cane, they're missing Retallick, they're missing Damon McKenzie. You kind of look at that side and go, okay, who have they got rather than who haven't they got? They've got like 13 players missing. So yeah, the Highlanders starting to hit their straps. You got to go Highlanders big on this side, I thought. Right,
let's see if Couch is in agreement.
Brent, I wish I could have joined Paul in Hamilton, but I stayed it might be me and Hendrik at Hamilton's. No, listen. Again, on this one, if I got 9.5, I'd shop around for 9.5. That was what I was looking for. I think that'll be a nice solid play for me. In the meantime, I've gone for the first half handicap. I have a feeling that the Islanders will come out strong and play well in the first half, and it's a a 5.5 handicap there, so I think they'll have enough in the tank to get the job done. And yeah, as Heinrich and them have said already, I think this is season over for the Chiefs. You know, I think they got a little bit of a lift up, got themselves back in the groove, got themselves going, and then Damien McKenzie and Brody Retallick went, and it's all gone pear-shaped there. So I think this is it's season over for them.
Well, just interesting looking at the live chat. Sean Nicholas saying Highlanders halftime handicap is golden, and when Sean uses the word golden, you know what that means. You can generally climb in and back it. So Sean really liking that one. Emil reckons Chiefs on the plus, New Zealand derby, and Chiefs dominant in recent head-to-heads. And it is certainly something you look at with New Zealand derbies, particularly when you look at a team like the Blues, who went so long without beating another New Zealand side. I must say, guys, I'm quite on the fence in this game, although I am leaning towards the Highlanders to win this game by 11 points or more. I'll probably throw that into multiple. But as you can probably tell by my almost conservative approach to the show so far, my bigger bets are going to be coming towards the end of the show. So let's move on to the Saturday 11:45 game, South African time. It's the Brumbies up against the Blues. And this is quite an interesting one from a handicap point of view. Just popping onto the Good for the Game forum, this is one where I went Brumbies minus 3.5 up front. And they were actually priced at plus 4.5 by GG Gaming in the opening betting. There's been plenty of betting activity, though. And at the moment, just looking at around a couple of sites, almost an even game at World Sports Betting. And Sunbet, having a look here, yeah, they go just over even money, Brumbies, and 8 to 10 the Blues. So, Couch, I'll stay with you here. The Blues are very, very narrow favourites for this one.
Brent, just the last one there. I had another try scorer with Bet Olymp is again a guy on the bench, Shannon Frizzell. In the previous game, he likes scoring tries, big ball carrier. So I've got him last try scorer, 27-2. So that's a nice little taster there if you like the try scorers. Onto this one, I think the only thing I really thanks, Paul. The only thing I really know about this one is that the Brumbies have been all across the globe now. I think that the place to go is the second half. Yeah, I think the Blues to win the second half. I haven't seen it. I'd like to take that as a cap, as an outright. I think the Brumbies will run out of gas completely towards the end there. I mean, they've travelled a lot, and I've also had a speculative Brumbies half-time, Blues full-time play, and I think it's about 13-2. I think that was what I went with.
Right, and just to see Pierre Killian, I think agreeing with you on your try scorers bet. Henrik, what do you think of this one?
I think Heine's seen my notes again. He said exactly what I've written down about the Blues bench, about the Brumbies travelling across the world. I really like that Blues bench. And Sunbet as the Blues to win the second half at 5-6, which I think is a very decent price. I like that very strong. So yeah, Blues to win the second half at 5-6.
Right, and let's go to Paul. Paul, I know you were up in Auckland just a day or two ago. What do you think?
Okay, the Brumbies have only lost at home once this season. The Blues haven't won away from home all season.
Yes.
All 4 of their wins have been at home. So those kind of stats or those kind of trends tell you that actually this could be the home win. So I've gone Blues by 3 just because I'm a Blues supporter, so it's a bit hard for me to go against them. Yeah, this one's a coin flip. I would say keep your money in your pocket, but and maybe watch live how the game's going.
Excellent. Well, it's good to meet a fellow Blues fan, because I can tell you, all of the guys on our website will tell you I've been a Blues fan and a French fan over the years, and I also happen to be stone broke, but you won't be surprised about that one. But yeah, I must say another tough game this. But I do think the Blues will get up and win this one, and it's certainly one. I think Chris might have gone in his Good for the Game preview by one of the 1-12 margins here. I wouldn't be surprised, but I do think that the Blues will get on top in the second half and that they'll win the game. I hadn't thought about just backing them to win the second half. Certainly crossing my mind, but I do fancy the Blues to win that game. Anything else there, Hein, on this one?
The problem is that a lot of their points come from Rico Wani, and he's been rested for this game for All Blacks protocols. So where are the points coming from? That's the big question. Yeah,
and in fact, you mentioned that All Blacks protocols. It's actually made it very interesting. Early in the week, we've got a couple of bookmakers who come out with lines, and we've got a forum on Good for the Game where punters now trying to decide, no, Rico should be rested this week, and this one should be rested. And you make your decisions on that. And then every now and again, of course, you get things horribly wrong. But it adds if I could say, Paul, an exciting element to it. But on the other hand, it also probably is one of the reasons for the inconsistent results.
It's made this season exciting, but it's made it a picker's absolute nightmare this season. It has been. I mean, you put out a great tweet last week, was it, showing that basically any game involving one of the African conference teams was a coin flip. I mean, it really has been like that, and that's because you got the Springbok protocols as well. All the sides resting players, and it is making it absolutely crazy from a picking point of view, but really exciting from a watching point of view.
Right, yeah, I must say this game, yeah, it could be another pick'em one. So heading for the Blues there. Let's move on to the Bulls against the Waratahs. Unless anyone else has got anything to add, Couch? Nothing else on this one? Right, let's go into the Bulls against the Waratahs, because this is the game, as you can see from the shirt I'm wearing this week, that I want to talk about. Quite a bit of interest in this. So did my Super Rugby handicap projection show. I thought the handicap would be 11.5. GG Gaming came out 8.5. And the boys climbed in. GG Gaming, true to their word, kept the handicaps open for 20 minutes. They moved it to 11.5. They subsequently come all the way down. I know Betway had -5.5 early in the week. And Hendrik, let me start with you on this one. Are you a bit surprised that the handicap didn't blow out to the double-figure margin?
Yeah, Brent, I thought the handicap would move more than it has. I think if you shop around, you can still get about 7.5, 8.5 in most places. I'm probably not as confident as most on this game, but I still think the Bulls is the correct way to go here. I took some Bulls -6.5. I missed out on the -5.5. I think we should see some backlash from the Bulls.
It looks like we may have lost Hendrik there just for a second with his connection. Sorry, Hendrik, carry on. We lost you there, I think.
Sorry. Yeah, I think a 3 o'clock game, the altitude is a bit worse than in the evening. So I think that's in the Bulls' favour. And the Waratahs, they have a few injuries. They've got a suspension. They haven't looked that good lately. So yeah, I think the Bulls is a great call here on I got -6.5. I'll still take the -8.5 as well. And I think we might see some points here as well. Jacob Papers, the ref, his games are normally pretty open. And with it being a 3 o'clock game, and I checked the weather, it's perfect weather in Pretoria on Saturday. And we should see some points and tries. Yeah, well, the Bulls, they kick everything at goal, so probably better to go for the points than the tries.
Yeah, it could definitely be an overs play this. And Bulls have certainly, they haven't, I was saying on the previous GG Gaming Gone Mad show, they've beaten the Waratahs 6 in a row. They haven't actually put the Waratahs away, but they have got a habit of putting Australian sides away. You can think of what they've done to the Reds a couple of times over the years. I'm surprised this handicap hasn't moved, and I make this one of my better bets of the weekend, probably my second best bet of the weekend. I do like the Bulls there at current levels of -7.5 points. Ruan Farid just saying he's heavily invested in the Bulls. And getting some advice on the forum as to how he might be able to cover things. But I think the Bulls there on the minus. Let's go to you, Couch. You're nodding in agreement, I hope.
Yeah, Ruan, no need to cover there, man. No need to cover. Ride it out. We riding the gravy train there. I'm all in on Betway. I didn't have a lot there, but whatever I had was in there. So it's 5.5, definitely. I was very surprised. I think the only thing I was feeling was that they're going to start Moni Libbok at fly off and move Pollard out. I was terrified that they were going to go for that move. Fortunately, they haven't. I don't know why they didn't go for Dylan Sage, but I mean, Johnny Courter is decent. He's going to be playing at outside centre. I mean, Spackman, I think he was a little bit unlucky. They said he was injured, but I mean, he's been back for a few weeks actually that he could have been selected. So, I mean, he was dealt harshly, I think. And no, it's a decent side. There's nothing wrong with this Bulls team. They're going to be hungry. I don't think they'll be lackluster. I think they'll want to rectify things. You know, they've lost to overseas teams twice at Loftus. That usually doesn't happen. They're going to be seriously charged up. They know that the Crusaders are coming, and that's going to be a tough one for them. So this is a must win, and they're going to make a statement. I'm pretty sure I've gone for a little bit extra now afterwards as well. I've gone for 9.5 at 11-10. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a double-digit win this, so 9.5 is still easy for me.
Brendan Vessel's just saying, Moni Libbok off the field. I was absolutely furious with him last week. He destroyed my Super Brew. He destroyed my bets. I can't forgive the guy for that. And the way he celebrated the consolation try, that was just ridiculous. But just before I go to Paul on this one, Hendrik, just to go back to you for a second, I wrote my Citizen article this week about our good punting friend Brendan. His bets last week, he had under 45.5 points in the Bulls game. And he had Stormers -1. Was it Stormers -1.5? Sure. So with the Bulls leading by 8, all he wants Pollard to do is kick the penalty, would have taken the points to 43, and Stormers would have won by 5. He would have won both his bets. What happens? Pollard misses the kick, and out of the blue, the Stormers start running, thinking of a bonus point down the other end. But a crazy decision, because at the end of the day, I mean, they've now allowed the Bulls a bonus point. But first and foremost, what did you make of that Stormers play? And secondly, how about Marnie Lebok celebrating as though he's won the World Cup?
Yeah, no, Brent, I can sympathize with Brendan, because I was under 45 and a half, and it was my biggest bet of the weekend. I made the bet early in the morning already, because I thought, it's a great bet. I said on last week's show that I like unders in that game, and unders looked dead some way through the second half, but then there was a period of no points, and it looked like it's going to be all right. And you just hope Pollard would kick the penalty. The Bulls get a bonus point for losing within 7. And everybody's happy. There's 43 points in the game, and us underpunters smiling. And then Willemse doesn't put the ball down. He gives it to Sinatla, and Sinatla kicks it forward. Crazy. And the Bulls get
the bounce of the ball that went to Lebok as well. I think it bounced right into his unbelievable stuff. And that's the joy and the pain, I guess, of being a sports punter, because you had guys like Southpaw who were on the +2.5 Bulls and had written his bet off.
Yeah, and the Bulls, they were under a penalty advantage as well with that try. So if there was only a knock and Lebok didn't get it, Pollard would have kicked the goal again. But somehow Lebok got the ball, and like you said, he celebrated like he won the game.
He certainly did. Well, let's go over to New Zealand now. And I know he's been also commenting on Twitter and that a lot about the South African conference and how tight it is. I mean, I was looking now, the Jaguares are favourites. I think you could have got 20-1 for them about the South African conference just a few weeks ago. It's been absolutely topsy-turvy. The Bulls went from favourites to rank outsiders in a week. What do you make of this one, though, Paul? Are we going to see a big Bulls victory over the Waratahs?
I don't understand how you guys are all being so positive around this one and being so certain. It's any game involving these South African sides is a coin flip, and this one, you're talking about a side here. We're basically looking for signs from the gods as to basically, hey guys, give us some ideas of what's going to happen here, please, because all sense and reason has gone out the window. I have gone Bulls. They should beat the Waratahs at altitude, but as I say, sense and reason has gone out the window. So I'm going with the idea that they lost the Chiefs, they won to the Sharks, they lost to the Jaguars, they won to the Reds, they lost to the Stormers, therefore they're going to win.
Right.
It really is an absolute. I think you're much better looking at live betting here for these guys, because I say it's been all over the shop.
Well, I certainly do like I do quite like the sort of thoughts on Henrik on the points on this one as well. But totally agree with you. The way these South African teams are going, hard to say it with any confidence. Just to mention at this stage, guys, if you are watching the show, we meant to start it this Monday night, but I had a power failure. Welcome to South Africa if you ever come over here, Paul. I was without power, but we're going to start a Monday night show now leading up into the World Cup. Use it or lose it. And this week's topic, and we'll have a couple of guests on, is going to be who should captain the Springboks. It's been quite heated debate about that on Twitter this week, and we'll have a couple of guests in to discuss that, and no doubt our resident Couch critic as well. Couch, anything for us on this game? Any try scorers you want to mention?
No, I haven't really looked at the try scorers for this one. I'll stay away and just shout my 9.5. I don't care who scores. They just got to keep on scoring if they've got a Bulls jersey on. And then I think we should rename Paul to Dr. Doom, yeah.
Dr. Doom. Paul, one thing you learn about old Couch critic, by the end of a couple of weeks shows, he's made enemies with most of the rugby players, every ref, and half of our live guests. But fortunately, no one knows exactly where he lives. We can never figure out if he's in the Western Cape or the Eastern Cape, so we can't find him. But that brings us to the final game then of the day. And Paul, let me start off with you here, because it's going to be late at night South African time. I guess that means it's probably Sunday morning sometime New Zealand time. It's the Jaguares against the Stormers, the new favourites for the South African Conference, minus 4.5 points. So the bookmakers do make them favourites here. What did you go for?
Yeah, I've gone for slight favourites with the Jaguares. I mean, let's be honest, they only snuck past the Brumbies. They got that 2-point win over the Bulls. So they've been in a lot of close games this season. So I think it's going to be a tight one. I've got Jags by 3, purely on the away form. Let's be honest, the Stormers haven't been great away from home this season, with just those 2 wins away from home. In some ways, you kind of like is the best way if they rest Khaleesi, are they actually going to perform better? Because that's what they did against the Rebels and got the win. So I've not looked at the lineups yet for this one, but yeah, again, it's an Africa Conference game. It's a coin flip, but I'm going with the travel being the big factor.
Right. Well, just to ask you a question on the Jaguares games. You know, the way they play rugby, they play what looks a hell of an attractive brand of rugby. But I've been amazed at how low scoring all of their home games have been. It's almost like they a lot of ball in hand, but they just can't finish it. Can we expect points in this game, or do you think we're looking somewhere around the 35 to 40 point mark again?
I think it'll probably be fairly low. I mean, one of the things that was interesting is that the Jaguares come 15th in offloads. They offload the least out of any team in Super Rugby. So breaking that line, if you've not got quick ball, can be really difficult. And if you think about how the Jaguares arrived on the scene, 4 or 5 years ago, when it was they started, they were offloading all over the shop. So we've seen a big change in their style of play. And so I think you've got a lot of punters and a lot of people sort of thinking they play a certain style when they don't actually.
Yeah, and I think one of those guys would be me. Thanks for pointing that out. I must say, one of the things, of course, is that I don't watch a lot of the Jaguares home games, but I always got this picture of them doing loads of offload. So that's very interesting stat. Just Pierre Killian is very much in your camp as well as far as the lottery goes. He goes, Jags due to lose because they're favourites for the SA Conference, and that really is the kiss of death. Well, let's see if Couch Critic can give them the kiss of death as well. Couch, what are you going for here?
Yeah, I think the Jaguares have built up quite a head of steam. I know they weren't great last week, but they did get the job done. And it's, yeah, I don't know, it's a tough one of this. Khaleesi he didn't make the trip, neither did Malherbe or Peter Steph the Toy. So a few changes there. But as everyone's been saying, and as we'll probably discuss on Monday, you know, how big is Khaleesi in the team? I still think he does play a role though. And no, they haven't been good on the road, as Paul has said. So I think you just got to go for the home team there. I mean, they've got everything going for them in terms of momentum, in terms of playing for the conference, being back in it. And the Stormers just aren't, you know, they're still up and down a little bit. Obviously, just came back from a tour, now having to go over again and come back. So I think the Jaguares, either Jaguares 1-12, or I've got them half-time, full-time at evens. But I think maybe Jaguares 1-12 is a pretty good place to go.
Yeah, before I bring Henrik on to give his opinion, I'm leaning towards Jaguares as my best bet. I like the Bulls and I like the Jaguares. I see -3.5 at WSB. I'm not -4.5 at Sunbet, so obviously I'll be leaning towards a 3.5. I do think the home team are going to put the Stormers away. Stormers look shy of a couple of players to me, and aside from that, of course, have had to travel over there. And let's face it, the Jaguares are playing well, but then again, you've got the inconsistency of this conference. So, Henrik, where are you going?
Yeah, Brent, the Jaguares, they've been on a nice run now. They've won a few now in a row. I just don't trust him yet. I don't know what it is, but I don't trust him. So I can't go big here. I like the same bet design, Jaguares 1-12, just for a bit of value. But I won't be diving into the minus. Yeah, like Paul said about Khaleesi, I don't rate Khaleesi highly. I think he's a bit of a liability in every team, especially in the Springbok team. He's there because he's the captain, but I don't think he's the best in his position. So I think it's actually good for the Stormers that he hasn't travelled there. And yeah, Wilco Louw and Frans Malherbe is not travelling, but Wilco Louw is a very good replacement. I think that's like for like. And yeah, Peter Steph the Toy is a bit of a loss. But even Etzebeth is back now and he's starting. So I like the locks the Stormers have picked, Eben Etzebeth and JD Schikkeling. So yeah, I think the Jaguars by 1-12 for a bit of value, but I'm not very confident on this one. I can even see the Stormers upsetting them. Yeah.
Well, I must say I was pretty confident before I heard all of you guys, and now I'm much more sitting on the fence. Just to mention, Peter Paul saying, Pierre Killian, who's in our live chat, you must come on the show. Pierre, if you ever do want to make an appearance on the show, I could be wrong, but I think you're based somewhere in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but you're more than welcome. Just pop me your details and you can definitely come and make an appearance on the show. Always good to get different views on these punting shows. Guys, I do like the Jaguares at -3.5. That pretty much brings us to the end of the show now. So let's run through it.
Can we just talk about the conference?
No, the South African conference, yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because you're saying that the Jaguares are favourites. They sit third in the conference. They haven't gone on tour to South Africa, to Australia and New Zealand yet. That sounds to be optimistic. to me. The Stormers and Lions, and the Stormers on the same points as the Jaguares, but they've already done their Australasia tour. The Lions don't have to leave South Africa again now. They're only another point behind. I'd actually say that the teams in 4th and 5th are probably, since they've got their tours out of the way, are in some ways in the best position now.
That's interesting because I haven't really had a detailed look at the betting, but I'm just going to share my screen very quickly and just have a look at let's actually have a look at the betting. I've just got World Sports betting site open here. So there we got the Jaguares 57-20, and to your point, they've still got to travel to New Zealand and Australia. We've got the Sharks at 61-20, which is just over 3-1. The Lions at 3.5-1. Stormers at 3.5-1, and last week's favourite, the Bulls at 4-1. And Couch, what are your opinions on the South African conference? I know you were on the Stormers at the start. If you hadn't got involved at all now, you could have a bet from nowhere. Where would you go?
Well, Brent, I think that just the sad thing is probably 3 weeks ago, I think Hendrik and we talked about it a little bit, and the Jaguares were nowhere. I mean, I think they were 10-1 or something like that in the conference, or 8-1, I know, and they've gone on that run, and now they all of a sudden they're favourites. I mean, that just shows you it's been a poison chalice being ahead there. The Sharks had a great opportunity, and then they went and lost two straight games. Then the Bulls had a little bit of a shout there. You know, they could have probably taken the Stormers decently out of it by winning. You know, if the Stormers lost last week and they lose at the Jaguares, then they might have been out of the running, and the Bulls would have looked great. But as Paul has said, at this stage you probably have to look to I still think the Stormers are a decent price, but I mean, it all depends again on what you think this week. If you think they're going to lose this week and the Jaguares are going to win this week, then obviously stay out of it a little bit, because then the Stormers are obviously going to stretch out a little bit and the Jaguares are going to strengthen even more. So that's the problem that I made 3 weeks ago, is I was hoping that it was going to work out and we could get the Stormers at a better price, and then they went and won that game overseas, which really buggered us up well and truly there. So I don't know. And then obviously me and Hendrik are on the Lions not to make the playoffs. So we're really up the creek at the moment. So we can't really be saying, no, you've got to take the Lions at 7-2. So at this current levels, and Bulls still have to go on tour. So Stormers probably the best play. But again, you know, I see them losing this weekend. So I'll probably try and wait another week and then get on someone, and just hoping to all hell the Sharks can somehow make miracles happen and finish top of the log.
Excellent. Well, Hendrik, I'm going to quickly touch on this with you as well, because I know you were big on the Sharks. You got some big prices on the Sharks. I think as big as 12-1 for the conference at the start. And you keep writing that Sharks bet off, only for them to pull a result out of somewhere. They hammered the Lions at Ellis Park. They then beat the Waratah City. Every time you write them off, the Sharks are back. And the reality with the Sharks is they're still very much in this race.
Yeah, that bit, I've taken that bit out of the trash bin a few times. I've written it off, and then they come through and they smash the Lions. I'm still hoping it can come through, but yeah, I've got a big bet on them to just qualify for the playoffs as well. So hopefully they can just qualify. And then I'm still very confident that the Lions won't make the playoffs. Of all the South African conference teams, I like the Stormers the most. I think the Stormers, they've got a nice run in, lots of home games at Newlands, and I think they're in a very good position. I think they at this stage, I think the Stormers will win the conference.
Right, and Paul, let me come back to you now. We've discussed the South African conference, so let's just have a quick talk about the overall betting, because we've got the Crusaders here, obviously very firm favourites at about, if you were talking your dollars term, you'd be talking $1.6 basically for the win of the outright tournament. You could have got about 3-4 times that price at the start of the tournament. My question to you is simple. Can anyone stop the Crusaders winning the tournament?
No, basically. Yeah, I mean, no one's really looked like getting close to them. The only time there was around when obviously when we had the Christchurch attacks, yes, which totally threw them. They're going to have home advantage when it comes to the playoffs, and that's going to be enough to. They've not lost at home in something like 23, 25 games or whatever it is. If they win this weekend, it's the longest ever winning streak at home. They equal their record. Because they're going to have that home advantage, I think we can say no. If they had to play away, then you might maybe something, but with that home advantage, no chance.
Excellent. Well, guys, Great chatting to you, and also thanks a lot to all the guys in the live chat. Let's wrap up with our best bets. I was hoping we'd be sort of unanimous so I could put it in the Good for the Game newsletter, but I'm a little bit worried about things. But Henrik, let me start with you. Your best bet of the weekend.
Now, Brent, you're all probably going for the Bulls. I'm going for the Sharks. Sharks plus for me. I got plus 23.5, but I'll take any plus, the best plus at the moment. I like the Sharks tomorrow morning.
Right, I think you can get around 21.5. Henrik's gone for the plus. There's a few boys on the Crusaders who disagree with him there. Couch?
Right, the newsletter, Brent, it's all the Bulls.
All the Bulls.
And I've gone for the 9.5, but take whatever cap there is and put that out.
Right, I think there's 7.5 there. So, I was going to go the Jaguares, but I think I'm going to go the Bulls, so that'll probably get the nod in this week's newsletter. And Paul, if you could say, from what we've discussed here, which would be your most confident pick?
I go for Hurricanes for a close one.
Hurricanes for the close one. So Paul would go for something like Hurricanes to win by 1 to 12 points, probably at around the 18 to 10 mark. Hey, Paul, it's been great chatting to you, and all the best with your. Is it Saturday? So tomorrow? When is your?
So it's the Highlanders
on Saturday. And so you're going to be hosting a bit of a chat at the sports bar. That's something we must look at maybe sometime, guys. But all of the best with that, and keep on churning out your content. And you're welcome to come on the show at times. I know we won't see you every week because 7 o'clock is just not your getting up time, is it?
It's a bit early for me, but so am I up or down against the bookie?
Oh yes, I didn't ask you that. So
I'm actually up against the bookie, but that's purely because of all the special deals I keep getting. So the TAB over here during March, if you backed a team to win and they lost by less than 7 points, you got your money back.
Okay.
And then during April, if you backed a team to win and they won by more than 7 points, you doubled your winnings. So because of all these special offers, I'm actually up. But if they weren't for special offers yet, I would have pretty much lost all my money by now.
Excellent. Paul, thanks very much. Great having you on the show. Thanks, Couch. Thanks, Hendrik. Guys, thanks very much to all of you watching. Some of you may be watching for the first time. Go below the video, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell so you don't miss any of our videos. We're also going to be having golf previews coming up over the coming weeks. We love our majors golf. And, of course, we're going to be starting the new Use It or Lose It program on a Monday night at 9 o'clock. We'll see how that goes as if to whether we'll make it a regular weekly thing. Thanks to the boys in the love chat. Not the love chat. What sort of show are we running here? We're going to get a lot of hits on this one. Thanks to the guys in the live chat. And we'll see you on Sunday for the Handicap Projection Show.